Oh my god, guys! Today might be my unluckiest day. You know what just happened?
What
What?
just
What
happened?
what
I
just
went
happened,
to,
Roger?
I went to adjust my glasses, and the 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 eyeglass part just popped out.
Oh no,
Oh
dude,
my
you're just a walking
goodness.
disaster.
Guys, I'm
Dude, this
having
is
a really
hilarious.
bad day today.
I'm leaving this in the podcast.
That's fine.
Greetings, all. Welcome to the Gaming Blog Podcast, the number one podcast for all the pertinent video game news spanning across all platforms, including Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and more. I am your host, Andrew Arana, and joined with me today are my co-hosts, Jacob Ward and Roger Bennett. On this week's episode, we'll be discussing 2K adding unskippable advertisements into their game, the Nintendo Switch dominating the US market, politicians using gaming as a campaigning tool, some studio turmoil over in the Vampire of Masquerade Bloodlines 2, and much, much more. But before we get into that, I want to check in on our fantastic co-hosts. Remember, if you have any questions or topics that you would like for us to discuss, leave all your comments in the comment section on YouTube at youtube.com/thatoneandrew. With that in mind, Roger, man, sounds like you're having a rough day.
I'm having a really rough day, my guy. It's
Do you
not.
want to? It's 11:30 right now at night. For the uninitiated or new people of the podcast, we usually try to record at 10 o'clock at night. We had a multitude of technical difficulties, and Roger's just struggling. I think. You want to tell them?
I
Go
was
go
I
ahead.
was I was so happy because originally it wasn't my fault. Like I got on with Jacob and you were the one that was taking a little bit. I'm like, finally, I'm not the one causing issues the first week. And then lo and behold, I leave my computer for like 2 seconds and just the entire thing goes belly up on me. Nothing's connecting, nothing's responding. I restart it, my internet goes out briefly, and now that we finally got it working, my eyeglasses just broke apart. So I'm doing great.
Yeah, they just were like, "I'm done."
Dude, I touched it
um,
and the screen popped out, and the entire thing just like dismantled before my eyes.
so sad. Jake, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. A little tired,
Yeah,
but I'm not bad other than that.
yeah. I mean,
Not much more to add.
honestly, before this night, and even you know what, even tonight is going that bad. We'll see how I feel at the end of this podcast, but right now it's not going too terrible. But this week has been not too terrible. Been doing a lot of things, especially me and Jake. We went out to eat a couple times.
Ooh.
Went to Cosmic Bowling, which was fun. Got some drinky drinks. It's always a good time.
Oh yeah,
We carved pumpkins tonight, which was
yeah.
cool.
We got
While
some lit ass
watching,
pumpkins.
Getting
yeah,
the spirit.
yeah, definitely. While watching the presidential election, which was
It was super
oh,
spooky.
Oh.
it's probably the
No,
scariest thing this
not getting in
this
the
season.
spirit.
The way to set the mood with our nice flickering candle bulb.
You know what? That is probably
Yeah,
the most horrifying thing you can watch.
dude. I mean, we could. I mean, we'll save that for a different time.
It's better than the spooky Halloween Charlie Brown special we can't watch on TV this year.
Yeah, that's a controversy that I guess some people are having. I don't know. I don't.
Are we going to talk about that at all, or is this a good time
No.
to talk briefly about it?
If you want to talk about it, go ahead. I don't have it
I
written
just
down
think
in
it
the
was
docket.
really funny because I just scrolling through Facebook and I saw all these people freaking out about Charlie Brown. I'm like, what's going on? And I guess Apple purchased the rights to the Charlie Brown movies, maybe more than just the movies, but that's as far as I saw. So they're going to be exclusively streaming on their Apple TV Plus platform.
Yeah, I mean, Apple TV's got to get
and
something. Though. I mean, what do they have?
I know because I've had it for a year and haven't used it once.
Yeah.
But I guess they're going to let you watch Great Pumpkin on Halloween through November 2nd. I think it was for free, so you don't have to like subscribe to it, so you can still watch it around Halloween.
That's crazy.
But everyone's like freaking out because they're like, "This is a tradition. We watch it every year. It's so sad." Like, blah blah blah.
I mean, let's be honest.
It's like, how old of a movie is it? Like, go out and buy a $5 DVD.
And then also
stream it, get a $30 Roku box. Like,
also,
dude,
these are
that place is just.
I know.
It's just the breeding ground.
I know.
It's old people complaining about it.
But it's just like, it's just Charlie Brown.
Hey, don't dish on
worse things. I love it. I watch them every year. But now the great thing is too. I know I said just go buy it, but like it's sold out everywhere. Like I checked it after that article. Like even like the stores here in town, like there's none on the shelf. Like every single retailer is sold out of Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown.
That's funny. All right. Roger, was there anything else you wanted to add for how you're doing? I mean, I know you're having a pretty tumultuous time right now, but did you have any was the rest of your week good? Okay.
You okay?
There was something else I wanted to talk to you about, but I don't know if it's good to bring up on the podcast right now. So I guess I'll ask you about it later. But just something I saw, and I was like, oh, someone said that. I think it was Dalton was talking about like you living by it or something. I don't know. I'll bring it up later though.
He's flatlined.
Yeah, you're still here, right, Roger?
Roger Bennett is typing. Hold on, I can't hear again.
Well, he's not here right now. Oh my goodness. Well, we're gonna continue moving on. The next part is gaming riddle, but Roger's he's bumping a little bit, so we'll wait for him to come back in a second. Before we get to that, we're gonna go ahead and talk about what we've been playing so far. Jake, what have you been up to this week? What have you been playing in the video game atmosphere?
I've been playing a bit of Among Us with friends a couple nights, which is a lot of fun. But mostly, again, just like last week, I've just been kind of cranking out Animal Crossing, getting caught up back to where I was. I got a Lucky and Anka on my island now. So those were the two I was really, really wanting. So I'm really happy that I got them.
All right, cool. Nice.
Yeah, I loaded up Fist of the North Star for a little bit, but I haven't gotten too much farther in that game. But I need to just pick a game and beat it because I keep flopping. Oh yeah, I did play a little bit Mario 64 through the Mario 3D All Stars as well, up to like 60 stars now. So
nice. I'm gonna do something bold. I'm gonna stop the recording real quick and then see if we can restart it real quick.
Oh my god!
But we're not gonna cut all this out. I'll just stitch them together. So
okay.
I'm gonna do that now.
It's big brain.
We'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. Okay, and we're back. All right. Well,
it's like nothing happened.
I just cut you off, Roger. All right. So, Jake, thank you for letting us know what you've been playing. I personally have been dabbling in quite a few things this week. Me and Susan finished Resident Evil 2, Side A. Great time. Beat the Claire campaign, and then it did a little tease at the end for the end of campaign 2. And Susan was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, well, we got to play Side B." So we'll see if we'll do that. I checked out Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which is the new multiplayer update that we'll talk about a little later. Fun time. It's more Ghost of Tsushima. The action is really good in that game, and I enjoy going around and just fighting mindless enemies. I've been playing lots of VR, a lot of Beat Saber. Pistol Whip is great. Space Channel 5 is a fun game, especially if you're a fan of Space Channel 5. And then also Susan has started playing Danganronpa 1 on the PSTV, and she is enjoying it so far. So I've been aiding her in that and watching her and things like that. So it's been a fine time. What about you, Roger? You been up to anything?
I platinumed God of War.
Yeah? That's awesome. How was it? I heard those. How were the Valkyries? I heard those are a bitch.
So the only one I had a really tough time with was the last one, the Valkyrie Queen. Because what she does is it's cool because each of them have their own moveset, and then she has all of their movesets, and she randomizes what she uses on you. So like you can't really predict her. So it's a really cool boss fight, actually, and I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard the platinum for God of War is a real feat, and it's not something that you can easily get. You actually have to go back and do things and do all those optional side quests and stuff. And I was like, that's cool. I like things like that. More of the game.
The only thing I don't like is like it has kind of like an Assassin's Creed 2 thing where you have to like hunt down all the ravens and like shoot them. It's not as bad as Assassin's Creed 2, but that was the
with the feathers and stuff.
Yeah, this is the only part that I didn't really care for.
Yeah, I remember actually, because I'm a little obsessive when it comes to trophies, and when I was playing God of War, I saw that there's a thing that was like, get all the ravens. I was like, oh no, I'm going to obsess about this so much. I can't do this, and I didn't do it. But I do plan on going back one day, and perhaps I'll platinum it. I'm a platinum whore sometimes.
They have a new game. They have a new game plus mode on it now too. So if you want to, you could kind of replay through it on New Game Plus.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of give yourself a newer experience. And I'd actually recommend it for a couple of reasons. I mean, you get new items and stuff on New Game Plus. So like you can keep upgrading your character, they get stronger, but you start with all of your stuff. So like you can get all the secrets on like one long run through of it. And like narratively speaking, the game's like really well written. There's like a lot of cool hints. Um, what's happening that they give early on that's kind of like really nice picking up on. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not a bad game for a second run through. I already started a second run through on Give Me God of War difficulty, and yikes,
Yeah.
that's a rough difficulty.
I did that with Ghost of Tsushima. I started because they just added the new game plus to that, which we'll talk about later. And I put it on the hardest difficulty. I was like, I can do this. I beat the whole game. I'm leveled up. I got this. Went to the first enemy. I got my butt handed to me.
Yeah.
Like I got every day to Sunday destroyed. Dudes were coming up, and I got like kind of soft locked in this one fight because when you're taking down the forts at the end, you have to fight like the leader or whatever, and he's a lot stronger. And
Yeah,
somehow I managed killing everyone except him, and then it kind of cuts into do a little cutscene and do like the samurai pose, and they get the little sword out, the little click thing with the sword, and then it just starts you in the duel. And this dude, I had almost full health. In one hit, I'm dead every
Oh, yeah.
time. It's just what bam, what bam, what bam. I'm like, and I haven't played the game since late July, so I was like, I don't know, I can't do this.
yeah. I mean,
So
that's exactly how the new difficulty is too. It's I mean, it's just like that. And the other thing it does is it switches up their move sets too. Like they'll do different
mhm.
moves that you're not used to and stuff, which is cool. But like, lordy,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what we've been playing this week. We're
Oh, did
gonna
we
go
ask
ahead.
Roger what he's been playing?
Yeah, hmm
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's
He
oh
fine.
yeah, with the
platinum God
God
of
of
War.
War. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
I'm not
listened to when I spoke and like,
I'm just out of
actually
it
paid
tonight.
attention for once.
That's all
Why?
right.
We're
We're
starting
gonna go
so
ahead.
early.
Yeah, we're starting so
We
early.
haven't had
We're
EP
gonna
issues.
we're gonna go ahead and jump right into the gaming riddle, everyone's new favorite segment of the week. So boys, are you ready for the gaming riddle? This might be a little
All right,
tougher since you're tired.
yeah, Jacob, you're gonna have to
Uh,
put all your brain power into this because I know I won't be able to do it.
Okay.
Actually, I expect both of you to get this one, but we'll see. It's a little tricky. All right, I made it a little harder this time since Jake freaking nailed it with that Ape Escape 3 game last time. So this one's a little more vague. All right, so here is the gaming riddle for the week. There are 6 games in my specific series, but the newer ones are made by someone new. I was released on September 21st, 2004 for the Xbox, that's original Xbox, Windows PC, and PS2. You can drive a tank, a vehicle. You can fly a ship, but most importantly, you have to blast your enemies away. Which game am I? Now, since Jake got the point last time, Roger, I'm going to give you the opportunity to guess first or ask a question first. Remember, you have 3 questions/guesses.
Yeah, I want Jacob to go first.
Is that your first question?
About it. No, that's just me. That's just me.
Can Jake go first?
That's just me
So
pleading with you.
let's see. You can fly a ship.
I'm trying to pull it up so I can read it. Is what I'm trying to do.
So let's see. Came out in 2004. Does it have anything to do with space?
Yes, it does have to do with space. Roger, your turn.
Okay, I was trying to pull up the actual thing so I could read it. Let's see here. 6 games in my specific series, but the newer ones were made by somebody else.
Now remember, just like with Ape Escape, just because there's 6 games doesn't mean that there's like this thing number 6 or
Right,
number
like
5.
Mhm.
yeah, like it's not numbered 1 through 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Xbox, Windows, and PS2. And Jake, you said that you
typing?
can do it in space.
Yeah.
Yeah, his question was, is it related to space? And I was like, yes, it is. I would say it is.
do you play as? I don't even know what question to really ask. To be honest with you, do you play as the same character throughout the games?
No. No.
Is
I
it
mean,
okay? Is it like a set character, or is it like one that like
no.
you alter? Okay, it's not a
You
set
alter.
character.
It's not a set character. You can play as the same character throughout multiple entries in the series, but there's not one character that you have to play as.
Okay.
Jake, your
Okay.
turn.
How many guesses do we get?
You have two left
I have
for
two.
either a question or a guess.
Okay. Let me see.
Remember, no Googling.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Type.
Space. You can fly a ship.
But most importantly, you have to blast your enemy away.
How recent was the newest game in the series?
How recent was it?
Yeah,
2017.
2017. Okay.
Roger?
Jesus Christ, 2017?
Yeah.
I don't know what came out in 2017. I don't know what came out this year.
I can start. Resident Evil 3, Doom Eternal, Cyberpunk's coming out, Last of Us. Oh, sorry. This is your third guess, Roger. So I would guess a game. If you ask a question,
I thought this was my second because I went after Jake.
oh, you're right. Because you deferred the coin toss.
Yeah, I wussed out.
I'm a little surprised that you guys are struggling with this so much.
He's tired.
I think I know what it is.
I have like an
I think you know what it is too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Okay, well, Jake, go ahead and guess. I don't even know.
Is it Battlefront?
It is. Star Wars Battlefront came out on September 21st, 2004 for the Xbox, PlayStation 2, Windows, and technically Mac and mobile phones, but I mean, who's going to check those?
Dude, I wasn't,
and the six entries.
The mobile version's technically a different one, isn't it?
Kind of. So there's 6 main entries. There's Star Wars Battlefront in 2004, Battlefront 2 in 2005, and then it went ahead and jumped to the PSP with Battlefront Renegade Squadron in 2007, and then in 2009 we had Elite Squadron, and then in 2015, that's after the Disney acquisition of Star Wars, EA Dice, the new studio, made Star Wars Battlefront, and then in 2017 we have what we have now is Battlefront 2.
See, that was what was throwing me off because I was like, it's 6 games. I was like, is it Battlefront? But like, I thought I could only remember the one PSP game. I couldn't remember if there was 2 on there or not.
Yeah,
See,
and there is. I
only knew like the first. There was 3 originally, right? And then
2. There were 2. So there are 2 main ones, but if you ever played the PSP ones, they are main ones. They play differently because there's not another joystick.
Well, isn't one of them kind of a port of Battlefront 2, and the other one is basically Battlefront 3?
Well, no, they have Battlefront 2 ported.
Oh, they go
like straight up Battlefront 2 is ported to the PSP.
Okay,
but Renegade Squadron and Elite Squadron, like Elite Squadron is the one where everyone was like Battlefront 3. That's the one I'm pretty sure where you can like do the transfer from land to space battles in game, like in the same game and stuff. Like it is Battlefront 3, so I definitely count those 2 games as sequels of the mainline series. There are a couple of like
beats me again. I'm gonna start doing the riddles.
Hey, I thought you knew. I don't know. I was like, maybe you know Star Wars more or something.
It's okay. It's not about what you choose. It's just that I'm like super stupid. So like that's just all there is.
You're
not super stupid.
It took you guys. I was a little worried there. I thought at the beginning after the space one, I was like, oh, Jake has this, but I was like, maybe he doesn't.
I saw ship and I was like, okay, is it like spaceship or
yeah
like a sea ship, or I guess fly a ship? That would be kind of weird if you're flying like a battleship in the sky.
Well, the score now is Jake with 2 points and Roger still sitting at 0, but that's okay. We
Yeah,
have
I'm
a
with
lot of
Zach.
time.
It's okay,
We
Roger.
have,
I
we
know
have
what it's
many
like to be at
games
the
ahead.
bottom.
I don't need you to patronize me, all right? I'm making you feel confident, and I'm gonna whip your sorry butt. That's
No,
fine.
it's going to be the only two I get right, and then it's going to be all Roger after this.
All right. Before we jump into the news, we have one last question. And boys, the question of the week I have for you this week is it strange to eat in bed? And if it's not, to what extent of the variety of foods would you eat in bed? Examples: cereal, pizza, soup.
Okay, so here's the
See,
thing.
like,
Cereal and soup are the same thing. We've already established that.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah, you're already like contradicting yourself. Yeah, delete it.
I literally just deleted it. Come in the technical.
I would say it's no,
I
not at
would
all.
say
And I will eat
I would say it's
anything
great.
that's edible in my bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope it's not. I wouldn't say it's strange. I would say it's a little kind of like you kind of feel bad about yourself. Like
Yeah,
I'd say it's a little disheartening. Like I don't think you're ever proud of yourself for eating bad, but I wouldn't say it's strange.
I
Well, I
was.
mean, like, breakfast in bed is a thing. People do
Yeah,
that.
you
Yeah.
get those little bed trays.
Yeah, yeah.
I just like in my old setup, I didn't really have like a living room, so it was just my bed. And I never wanted to eat in my bar, so I was just like, I'll just eat everything in my bed, whether it be pizza, wings. There was one time I had a burger, and at the time I was doing a diet which didn't allow me to have the bun, so I just had it in a bowl. And the plastic fork I was using broke when I was trying to eat it. Just everything went on my bed. That was a lot of fun.
Darn.
Music in the background.
I feel that though. Yeah, I don't think it's too strange. I know some people don't do it. Some people don't like it. They always. I mean, there are those people that like got to eat at the table all the time. I know in our apartment we eat wherever we want.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I was thinking like, is there a food that I would not eat in my bed? I'm sure there is, but
I mean, you don't
I would-
want to eat anything too crumbly or whatever. You know what I mean?
But as
Yeah.
long as you have a big enough plate, like that's really the crux of the
Mhm.
situation. Is if you got a big enough plate, you can eat anything.
Yeah, but it's still hard to count for everything. Like I wouldn't eat
Yeah,
cornbread.
true.
Spaghetti.
No. Yeah, spaghetti. Well, I mean, I wouldn't eat spaghetti, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't eat spaghetti or cornbread in bed. Like that's
That
not.
just makes me think of the guy who gets knocked over in the vine and has a bunch of spaghetti fall out of his pocket, and he's just
Oh,
going,
yeah,
That's
a
a pretty good
classic
combo,
one.
spaghetti and cornbread, actually.
yeah.
I want some.
Heck yeah, man.
You should
know,
come over tonight. We had hot dogs and mac and cheese.
The hot dogs were terrible. The mac and cheese was
Yes, they were.
fantastic. It was baked.
I think
Homemade
the
it.
hot dogs are what sent me to the restroom for the rest of the night.
Probably. I didn't eat them. All right, guys. Well, usually we would banter a little more, but we're just going to go ahead and jump into the news because we got a lot to get through. All right. Roger, hit us with the theme.
But
What? What?
It's very
You popped. All right. We have a special breaking news segment this time, guys. This is breaking news because I already had this all typed up, and then this happened today. Breaking news. This story broke today, mere hours before recording. It was announced by Nintendo that the original Fire Emblem game. It was announced by Nintendo that the original Fire Emblem game, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, will be released on the Nintendo Switch for the first time in English on December 4th, 2020. This original NES game will retail for $5.99 exclusively for the Nintendo Switch eShop. A so-called 30th Anniversary Edition, which includes a code for the game, a deluxe art book, a game pack art piece, a replica game box, which includes a booklet, protective sleeve, and world map, and finally, a mini Nintendo Power Retro collectible will also be available. Perhaps the most controversial news piece to come out of this announcement, however, is that just like with the Mario 3D All-Stars collection, this too will be available for a limited time. Unlike the Mario All-Stars collection, the date in which Fire Emblem will be delisted is currently unknown, giving
actually
fans...
it is going to be March 31st, same day as the Mario.
Same day. All right. Well, it's March 31st. Giving fans an even greater sense of anxiety and FOMO. Fire Emblem is a tactical role-playing game series developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo. Even though it began in 1990, it wouldn't be until the release of Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade for Game Boy Advance in 2003 when the series would see its first English release. Its most recent mainline release, Fire Emblem Three Houses, was released for Nintendo Switch in 2019, and has since amassed over 2.8 million copies sold worldwide.
Dude,
So,
Fire
guys,
Emblem Three Houses is like really good. If you've never
Yeah.
played
it is. I want to talk about this real quick. There's not too much big news about this. I'm a Fire Emblem fan. I love Awakening. I love Three Houses. I love the remakes that they did. I'm kind of a fan of Fates. Not too big of
It's
Fates.
not
Shadows of
not as
Valencia
good as
is.
Fates
Yeah,
is great if you have the cartridge that has all three of them on it.
I
yeah,
mean, I
Fates
don't
is
think.
great if you have $90.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, Fates is its own thing, but there's no denying that Awakening is great, and even Three Houses is great. I got the ending where you go. I did the church ending, which I didn't mean to do,
I did
and
first one. I
probably
did too. I got the church one.
I wasn't a fan of that ending, but I've heard about the other endings. I'm like, okay, I would like those a lot more than the church ending. But the thing I really wanted to, the blue one,
Yeah, that I did.
yeah,
That
I've heard
one.
that one's like the best. But the thing I really wanted to just discuss real quick was that, or not even discuss, just bring up that Nintendo's doing this crap again, where they're doing a limited digital release. Even if you get the 30th anniversary collector's edition, it's still just a digital code, so it doesn't matter if you're worried
Which,
about like being gone forever.
it's a 30 megabyte game. I kind of understand not putting it on a cartridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. But like, it just sucks that this seems to be a new practice for Nintendo, and I don't think they're going to start doing this every game.
Mhm.
But this is another anniversary game, so it looks like with anniversary things. So maybe if we do get Zelda remastered, whatever HD collection, it's starting to look like they're going to do something like this, and it's disappointing. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of these scummy marketing tactics or these scummy, because that's what it is. It's scummy and greedy because they want people to feel that sense of anxiety, to feel that FOMO of like, I'm not going to be able to ever get this game. So then, even if you don't really care about the original Fire Emblem game, because honestly, it's not good. It's probably one of the worst Fire Emblem games, especially this one. It's not even the remake on the DS. It's the original NES one that's just ported in English.
Oh, I forgot they remade it on the DS.
Yeah.
Wait, was that the what was it called? Shadows of Valencia or whatever? Is that what
A
that
Shadow
was?
Dragon.
No, that's Shadows of Valencia
That was
was the remake of the second one on 3DS.
Oh,
That one wasn't bad.
okay.
I kind of like that one.
That one
Yeah,
was kind
I
of like
enjoyed that one.
The first one, though, even the remake is kind of spotty, just because it's not. It's old. It's an old game. It's the first Fire Emblem game ever
It'd
made.
be interesting to see like where its roots came from, kind of with like Final Fantasy, but like it's definitely dated.
I think of this kind
Definitely.
of like how that Earthbound Beginning games that came out on Wii U a few years back was, where it was just like, we never got the first entry into Mother. And that was cool because that one was supposed to come out in America. It just ended up coming out so close to the Super Nintendo's launch that they were just like, scrap it. So they had been sitting on that localization for years. With this is the first time they've even thought about bringing Fire Emblem to the West. So it's cool that we're getting a legit full translation
I
from
love
it.
Fire Emblem. I think it's a great series. But like with Nintendo, like I remember back when the Switch came out, right, and they had that big sold out. For the longest time, I would be like the guy defending Nintendo, like, look, the Wii U didn't do so good. They didn't know, because that's how everybody was like really upset. I have a lot of friends that are upset with Nintendo because of like stuff about the Switch and whatnot, and how like they felt like they were controlling the market. And I was always like, nah, it's just they didn't plan for it. They're in a different country. Like I was always defending them, but seeing this stuff, it's like really hard to still stay on their side because of how because like it's so obvious that they're controlling it at this point. That it's like, all right, you know what? No, I can't defend you guys anymore.
I was definitely in that camp too when the Switch first came out. I was kind of a Nintendo apologist for like, okay, guys, listen, they had the Wii U, which was a disaster. They're rebounding. Yeah. There's things that they're just trying to work out the kinks. There's no themes on that. It's okay. They're working it out. Some of the controllers don't work. It's fine. But then we're 3 years down the line now. There's no excuses anymore, especially when you're looking at what the competition's doing. I pinned a tweet actually on my Twitter when this news broke because I'm honestly, with my YouTube channel, just doing Nintendo videos and stuff, I'm just so sick of it. I put like Xbox. They have the most powerful console ever made. Ray tracing, fully backwards compatible. Game Pass. PlayStation. It's smart, fast, virtually no loads. You got Spider-Man, Demon's Souls remake, built-in 3D audio. Things like, they're exclusives. Nintendo, you're getting a game from 1990 that's also going to be delisting digital games to create FOMO and you get bad Mario ports. Like, there's no what do you have to even the things that you're looking forward to with the Switch, such as I don't know, Pikmin 3. What it's a port of the worst, in my opinion, the worst Pikmin game, and then
we're all still waiting there
or
for that Pikmin 4 they said was almost done.
yeah, I know. Or you get things like 3D All Stars or this, which because in any other day, this would be cool news. They'd be like, oh, they're finally doing an English port of Fire Emblem. That's awesome. This is cool, and it's only $6 too. Like,
Yeah, that was shocking because when they gave us Earthbound, something they already completely did in the '90s or early '90s, they charge us $10 for that.
Yeah,
This
so
is something they just did with new modern features like rewind and fast forward and save states. So they've added a lot more than just a fan, or not fan translation, it's official, than just a translation. So,
but even then, it's like there's argument that this should just be on the NES
yeah,
online pass because
like any of those,
that has all those things built into it already. So I don't think that they went in and like
and it has Japanese titles on there like Mario 2.
Yeah,
and like they've got a bunch of Japanese titles on the Super Nintendo one, so it wouldn't be out of place.
Like I feel like
I would say it should be, but it definitely like it would make more like authentic. Like it would make you more willing to want to get the NES thing, right? Like I think it'd be smart if they did that, but I think they're just kind of, I don't know, they're being weird about the whole thing. I mean, there's no real reason to do the NES stuff, or I guess if you already have Nintendo Online, like you might as well. But like I don't know.
At this point, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. I think with the NES Online Pass. And they need to just either, because no one was complaining about Virtual Console. If they would have just taken all those NES games and thrown them onto the eShop for $5.99 each, no one would be complaining.
They're actually starting to do with some games. Some of the games that are already in that NES library are available to purchase for about $5.
But like that's my whole thing is like do one or the other.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's just I think it's I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, oh, those people that don't have online a chance to buy these games, but really,
because it feels like you're not winning no matter what you do. Like it feels like you're kind of like always just not getting your bang for your buck no matter what you go with.
Yeah, exactly. Because sure you're paying for online, but let's be honest, the Switch Online sucks. Like no one plays Nintendo games online. The only thing they do is Smash, and it sucks most of the time.
That was the thing. Like it was just as good when it was free as it is now when it's
paid
for. So they didn't do any sort of like server updates or maintenance with the money that they're given. It's literally just for the Switch Online features like NES and SNES.
And I know that people complain, and this is kind of getting to my big thing about Nintendo, is that people complain that like, well, Nintendo's not about that. They're about fun. They're a toy company or whatever. They are they only care about the games and stuff. Things like that. It's 2020. Back when the Wii released, I understand. Even to an extent, the Wii U, I kind of understand. Because 360 and PS3 were still figuring online things out. But when the PS4 and Xbox One released, they knew what they were doing. They had it down. They had their marketplaces down. They had their themes down. They had everything down. And then the Wii U released. And they didn't have everything down. But it was like, okay, we'll give you a pass because you guys just released this. You're a little behind. Nintendo does its own thing. We get it. But now we're in the Switch, and we're 3 years into the Switch, and we have the PS5 and the Xbox Series X coming out, and they are so leaps and bounds, just like on the little things ahead. It's the little things. There's still not Netflix on the Switch. It adds up. The PS5 is launching. That's like a big headline today. Was like, I guess, quote, headline, was that it's launching with Netflix and Hulu and Spotify and things like that. It's like, oh yeah, most of those things aren't on the Switch. And it's an argument that can be made that, well, maybe that's Netflix's fault. But then it's also like, well, maybe Nintendo should go to Netflix and be like, hey, put this on here.
And
like,
we
will pay you.
The 3DS has Netflix on it.
Exactly, yeah. So I feel like this is just Nintendo. They just don't.
In 3D.
And like, so giving them all these little passes of like, oh, well, maybe it's Nintendo's fault, or maybe it's because Iwata died, or things like that. I think the passes are done with Nintendo, and I think that they're gonna get into a rude awakening because right now we're gonna talk in a story about how the Switch is the best-selling console for 22 months in America.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would not be surprised if in 6 months we see a massive drop off of the Switch because whoever wants one has already kind of gotten one, And then also we're going to start seeing these new consoles and comparing it to the Switch. And I don't think the tantalization of take it on the go is really a big thing anymore, especially when we're going to see all these AAA games, which aren't even coming to Switch now. We're going to start seeing a lot more of them because a lot of things have been pushed for the new gen.
And Bethesda, their biggest third-party support, is just bought by Microsoft. So
well, that too, yeah.
They can get any more games from Bethesda at this point.
Yeah, that too. I think they will, but we'll talk about that later. But I think there's going to be a rude awakening. They're going to realize that they're going to need a lot more than Animal Crossing
and I'm wondering too, like if they didn't have full confidence in
What was that, Roger?
Well, I was gonna say I feel like I got everything that I want from the Switch. I got my Nintendo, my Super Smash Bros, my Mario Kart, my Zelda, my Mario Party, my Mario.
And that's the problem too, is that
I got what I want from the Switch. So like, what do they have to compete with now?
Exactly, like what?
Practices. It's like, no, I'm just gonna keep what I have and be that.
Because it really this year, what did they release? They released Animal Crossing, Paper Mario, Mario 3D All Stars, and then now Fire Emblem. It's the only thing I can think of.
And then they have the Koei Tecmo Zelda game.
That is coming out this year. I guess I more meant so like what had been released already. That one looked awesome. That the Zelda Hyrule Warriors
the Age of Calamity. I always wanted to play the original Hyrule Warriors. I played it a little bit with a friend of mine.
It was okay. The story was fine. The gameplay was fun.
A fan service story, though, is what I know. Yeah. But Age of Calamity looks really cool.
This is going to be legit. Like they actually worked really close with the Zelda team to make that game compared to the other one. So
yeah, I'm thinking with that team over there, they did Persona 5 Scramble, and they worked closely with them as well. And Scramble got pretty good reviews, and I played.
Scramble is a legit sequel to 5.
So. Yeah, I played a good 2 hours. I'm like, this is a full game. This is a Persona game. So I'm expecting this one to be more or less a Zelda game. Yeah. Seems like they know what they're doing with those spin-off Warrior games now.
I played I played Fire Emblem Warriors, and that felt a lot like Hyrule Warriors, where it's just like it's just kind of like a fan fiction game. And I'm not the biggest Fire Emblem fan, so I was just kind of like, Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Fire Emblem for me, the main games are where it's at. Like anywhere else,
Agreed.
It played fine. Just like with Hyrule Warriors, it played exactly the same. So.
All right. I mean, that gameplay loop and the main games are what draws it for me, not the characters and the fan service story.
But agreed.
I did want to say though, on the subject earlier with our problems with the Switch. I honestly feel like Nintendo didn't have the fullest of confidence in it, just like they did with the DS.
Well, that's kind of my point too. Is that
they're just kind of like trying to figure out what to do with it now that it's their main thing.
I understand that, but that was 3 years ago, and that's something you figure out in the first year.
The thing is too with Iwata dying, I know, like, I think just because of how Nintendo is, they're probably scared to really touch anything with it.
I don't agree with that.
Of it.
I don't agree with that because they released the Switch Lite.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all. They've already gone in and messed with things.
I think
they've changed things.
Pro that's coming out is going to be probably where the most of their focus is going.
It'll be interesting. We'll have to see. The thing is, like, I love the Switch and I love how it works and how it functions, but I just can't help but consistently wonder what would their developer teams do with something as powerful as the current gen consoles. You know what I mean? Like, if they had that power and that much freedom, what could they make? Because I think Nintendo has really good developers. I'm not saying it has to be realistic. I'm just talking about the power of the engine and the worlds they could create. They can still
Think about Ratchet and Clank, the new one coming out, and how the whole game is changing because of the SSD, how they're doing the whole Rift Apart and the open worlds and things, and you're flying through worlds, all like that. Now imagine that with Mario. That would be awesome, but if Nintendo is keeping on this path, they're not going to have anything relatively close to the PS5 for 15 years. Yeah. Like, we're not going to see these games fully. I mean, Breath of the Wild runs not great on the Switch. Maybe their next console will run that game great, but the way Nintendo's doing their thing, and I don't think it is a sustainable market, and we like to tout like, oh, they're too big to fail, or they have too much money. It's true that they have a lot of money, and maybe they are too big to fail, but we've seen plenty of companies in our short lifetime, explode, become big, and then fail.
Especially when
competition comes in. And you're about to see PlayStation is without a doubt on top right now. And they kind of have been on top since they came out. But we're about to see a Microsoft that is different than it's ever been. And we're about to see a super competitive Microsoft, especially with Game Pass. Now, if you have gamers torn between PlayStation and Xbox, because that's what I've seen so far through just people, is that people are obviously getting the PlayStation because of its exclusives. But people are also being like, I think the Xbox is going to be my secondary console because of Game Pass, because it's just too good of a deal to pass up. At that point, if Xbox becomes that second console, that's what the Switch is a second console. I don't think people are, except for diehard gamers like us, of course, I don't think people are going to start being like, oh, I'll get a second console. I don't think people are going to do that. People are going to be like,
I didn't know if that was just like, I didn't know if that was just my friend group, but like I've noticed like a lot of people just try and eventually get both consoles. You know what I mean? I still include it. Like try and get both. You might choose one first, but you eventually try and get both PlayStation and Xbox.
And I think Nintendo is. Sorry about that. You can go ahead, finish your statement.
No, sorry, you cut out, so like I didn't know what you were saying. But I think that healthy competition is what like makes PlayStation, Xbox so good against one another. You know what I mean? Whereas Nintendo, that's why we get so easily frustrated with them, is because they do their own thing, and while they do some good stuff, they don't compete and they don't improve, and they don't like you just know the lack when you have Microsoft and Sony kind of competing to consistently push forward. It's why the market economy works as well as it does. It's just because it makes higher products and whatnot.
I agree.
What were you going to say?
Well, when the Wii U was failing, there were those talks of Nintendo going third party. Obviously, those just anecdotal talk between fans. I don't think Nintendo was ever considering going third party.
No.
But who knows with the Switch, though. But now we're seeing the success of the Switch, and it's like, well, of course they're not going to go third party. But I think the Switch is an even bigger reason to start shouting third party again. Because the Switch is a successful console, but if you look at its top game sales, and this is a thing that you can check with all the consoles. If you check PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, and the Xbox One, 360, and Xbox, and you look at the top selling games, they're all third party. Now, obviously, they have their first party games that people adore and love, and they sell respectably well. I mean, Spider-Man sold like 10 million, Halo sells millions and millions, things like that.
Sony really knocked out of the park that one year.
Yeah, definitely. But Nintendo, it's consistently Nintendo games at the top, which is saying people are buying this console for Nintendo games. And the problem is that Mario and Zelda and all these other things can only be good for so long until people start getting tired of it. What happens when Elder Scrolls 6...
Pokemon, like, don't improve or
innovate.
Game Freak thing as well.
Yeah, but like, what happens when Zelda... Because everyone... I mean, come on, everyone doesn't love Zelda, but everyone loves Zelda. But what happens when...
That's why Breath of the Wild was so well received, because they actually did something new and innovated.
Exactly, but what happens when The Witcher 4 comes out and it innovates on what Breath of the Wild did, and Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, which Breath of the Wild said it got a lot of its inspiration from Elder Scrolls 5, so 6 is probably going to take inspiration from that. And we've already seen games like Genshin Impact, which are free, but they have taken a lot of inspiration from Zelda. And we're going to start seeing these games that are taking inspiration from these Nintendo games, but they're going to build and innovate. Mario Kart is just a better feeling Mario Kart every time. Like, oh, it feels a little better this time. How many times can they do that until people are just like, no, I'm not going to go out and spend $300 on this console for a better feeling Zelda, a better feeling Mario Kart,
let's be honest, whatever. Witcher 4 comes out in the current generation, like, it's just going to ruin the video game industry as a whole. Like, Witcher 3 basically ruined every other RPG.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It blew Fallout out of the water. But it's things like that I look at and I'm just like, Nintendo, I don't think you're long for this world. I think right now they were in a good place with PS4 and Xbox One because things were a little different. But this new gen, it seriously is going to be... Ray tracing alone is going to make every Nintendo game look like garbage. Like, ray tracing, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It is a game changer. And it is native for these new consoles. Even the Xbox Series S has ray tracing. And it's going to make every Nintendo game look like trash compared to it. And I bet you if they do a Switch Pro or whatever, it's not going to have ray tracing. And if it has 4K, it's going to be the checkerboard 4K because I don't think they're going to get a handheld to do true 4K.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what they do, it's at least it's taken on the go. It's like, okay, but what am I taking on the go? I can't take Cyberpunk on the go. I can't take the Resident Evil games on the go. Like things like that.
You can't take the Resident Evil games. They have the.
I don't even like to go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't like to go anywhere. But I just think about things like that. And of course, I beat this drum almost every episode about Nintendo because I think Nintendo is old and stuck in their ways. And granted, I think Sony is too, to an extent. Not as badly as Nintendo, but Nintendo definitely thinks that they're top dog, even though they haven't been top dog in decades.
Well, the thing is with Nintendo, like, they don't really need to because they've just really... They usually will break even, if not sell more, or like make a profit on their products. I mean, Amiibo was, I think, what got them through the Wii U generation. Those sold like wildfire.
Did they?
Oh yeah, they did.
That was insane. It's definitely leveled out now, but yeah.
No, at the beginning they were sold out everywhere.
Every time a new thing would come out, it would just be gone.
I think that adds to my point, though, is that about Nintendo not being long for this world is that everything that they're successful on is a gimmick, and that they keep trying to look at the gimmicks.
They've never been about having the best hardware on the market. They've always been about having something for their console.
It's not even the best hardware on the market. They just need to be on par with the hardware because you see when the gimmick doesn't work like the Wii U, when the Wii U gimmick doesn't work, it's bad times for Nintendo. They were bleeding cash for years with the Wii U. It was bad.
And that's why I'm thinking like with the Switch, that's where they've really focused more is on handheld because they've always consistently sold well on their handheld market.
Kind of. I mean, we discussed with the GBA and the GBSP and stuff like that.
Well, the GBA wasn't long for... They only supported that for a couple years before they just switched guns over to the 3DS. The DS, because it was a similar situation. That's where I kind of want to make parallels to. The DS was something they were kind of just experimenting with and being like, let's see if this works. And then they was like, oh, it's selling gangbusters. Screw the Game Boy Advance. We got this now.
I feel like the handheld market was a bit more competitive back then too. With the
it definitely was. And the DS was, it had the PSP fighting against it, but the DS.
I was about to say, like they had competition the whole handheld life cycle, whether it was Neo Geo or it was the PSP or whatever. They had competition. Now they don't have handheld. I mean, mobile. They have mobile, but
but I don't think anybody really considers mobile when they put it up in the lineup with those names.
Well, they don't. And that's why they don't make handhelds anymore, though.
Yeah. But I think that's where Nintendo really shifted gears. I think it was like, okay, this handheld that we're selling, it's selling really well, and it can work as a home console. And I feel like this is just going to be their next iteration of their handheld device.
But even then, like
a dedicated home console again. And
but even then, I was playing Genshin Impact on my iPad like 2 nights ago or something, and I was like, this looks better than any Nintendo Switch game on handheld. Any. And I understand that's like the iPad Pro.
The iPad Pro, I feel like has better specs in it than the Switch.
I think so. But like, it's just things like that where and would the next Switch Pro or whatever look as good as the iPad Pro? I don't know. But like, it's just, it's hard, and they're in a tough competition, and they're a tough space. Phones are looking better too. Every phone is having a Retina display now, 4K or whatever. So it's like a Switch screen is a little bigger than a phone. So it's like, what are you? And then of course I think this is something we haven't brought up, but we should bring up with this argument is that Stadia and Xbox Game Pass are streaming to mobile now. So there is kind of being competition in the handheld market again, albeit different competition.
Streaming is going to be something that takes a while to be a mainstream adoption. I know it's popular.
I agree.
But it's not going to take the world by storm. I think not for a little while.
Yeah, we should
not until we have more consistent connections, more widely available across the board.
Yeah, but I think it's
there.
I think it's going to be here a little quicker than you think.
But then earlier when we were talking about Nintendo has good games, and I think that's like even if it's not.
Even with that, I don't know, man.
Because I'll look at like New Super Mario Brothers U. I don't really care about it, but it's a fun game. Like,
I don't know.
Game still.
I would start to argue that they're not even good games. Because I mean, think about what's come out this year. All right, like I will list out some big games this year. You have Doom Eternal.
Mm-hmm.
You have Resident Evil 3. You have Animal Crossing. You have The Last of Us Part 2. You have Ghost of Tsushima. You have Star Wars Squadrons. You have your sports games, of course. We have Watch Dogs Legion. We have Cyberpunk, Demon Souls remake. We had Crash 4. We have
Mario.
Spider-Man. We had the Mario 3D All-Stars collection.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and throw in that Hyrule Warriors game. Now, out of all those games, I don't know about you, but I definitely would not put the 3D All-Stars collection, the Hyrule Warriors, or Animal Crossing at the top. Mm-hmm. If anything, I'm putting them at the bottom of all those games. I think Crash 4 is better.
But they're not
I
bad
think
games. That's the thing. They are still quality titles that they're with a lot of polish.
But that doesn't matter in a market with competition.
And that's been a problem with the Switch, though, because they kind of blew their load early to sell the console and show that they had games again.
But that's what I'm saying is that's the problem with Nintendo generally, is that it doesn't matter how good of a first party you have, you cannot run a console with first party games only. It's impossible. Unless you're Microsoft, who literally owns like 35 studios.
I don't know, like they're not even taking full advantage of their first party.
Exactly. But like you can't do it. That's why you need a console that is strong enough to run all these third-party games. But they're not going to do it because they're too stubborn. And that's why I think Nintendo, because when people are looking at this, Nintendo Switch fans, I'm sure, are like, oh yeah, I like my Switch stuff. But when the new consoles come out, think about this. You got the new consoles coming out. People are going to want to buy them, right? You're going to drop $500 on a new console. Then you're going to drop however hundreds of dollars on the new game. And then what if next year they do announce a Switch Pro? And you're like, well, shit. Mm-hmm. Either A, I just bought a PS5 or Xbox Series X, or B, I want to buy a PS5 or Xbox Series X. And then Nintendo's like, but what about the Switch Pro? It's like, what are you going to choose over both of those?
And that is still, like, if it is indeed a Switch Pro, or it could be just its own dedicated home console.
I think Nintendo was lucky that there was a pandemic this year. Yeah. Honestly, I think that's why Animal Crossing sold so much. I think that's why Nintendo sales have been up because all video game sales are up. But I don't think on their current trajectory they are longed to be a continuous powerhouse in their first party. And I got to leave it there because we have so much other things to talk about. That was a lot longer than I thought it would be for breaking news.
I will say this: the Switch saved me in the airport that I went on last year. On that 9-hour flight, I was so happy I had the Switch.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, like
it's great for traveling.
It's a great handheld, and it's a market that they don't really have much competition anymore, like we were talking about.
Or you could have brought your Vita, but that's just me. All right, we're going to go in and move on to the real news for the week. Number one is Ghost of Tsushima Legends. We brought this up a little earlier. There's a lot of ellipses in this game. Ellipti? I don't know. Or in this game, in this article. I don't know what I'm saying. Ellipses, yes. This story comes from Push Square, written by Robert Ramsey. Quote, Ghost of Tsushima Legends has arrived courtesy of Ghost of Tsushima's free 1.12 update, and it's shockingly good, end quote, ellipsis. Quote, Legends offers two distinct modes, both entirely separate from the main single-player campaign. Access through either the main menu, pause menu, or by speaking to an ominous old storyteller in Jin's Adventure, ellipsis. There are two modes that test your mantle. The first is Stories, which allows for two players to team up across a range of story-driven, objective-based missions. The scope and complexity of these missions expand as you progress, and there are even some puzzle-like elements to keep you on your toes. While you can pair up with strangers for stories, it's clear that these missions have been designed for teamwork in mind. Assassinating two targets at the same time feels amazing, and standing back-to-back with a friend as zombie Mongols charge you from all sides can be thrilling. Ellipsis. While Stories is great fun with the right partner, it's Legend's second mode that beckons you back over and over again. Survival sees up to 4 players defending strategic points on a map against hordes of undead Mongols and, at times, dangerous boss-like demons known as Ani, end quote. Ghost of Tsushima is Sucker Punch's new action-adventure game set in the feudal Japan during the first Mongol invasion. It came out in July of this year to a mantle of praise from both critics and fans. Update 1.12 also came with a new Game Plus mode, which seems to be the new norm for Sony Party First game or Sony's first-party games, just like in God of War, Horizon, Last of Us Part 2, Days Gone, and so on. So, Roger, I know you brought up earlier about God of War having that free New Game Plus mode. Sony's been doing that with all their games. Last of Us Part 2
God
got
of
it.
War's new game plus mode is a really good new game plus mode too. Like,
Yeah,
usually new modes are really like kind of like lazy, just tack on to whatever. But God of War like actually brought a lot of really interesting elements to it. So
Yeah, what exactly did they do with theirs? Because I know Ghost of Tsushima, what it does is no matter what difficulty you pick, it's a little harder since it is New Game Plus, and you get to carry over everything. You get to carry over your abilities and your costumes and
yeah,
things
so
and your weapons.
that's like the bare bones of what I think of when I think of New Game Plus, right? Like that's
Hmm.
just the most essential. What God of War does is it does that stuff, right? But it also does other stuff. Like it changes their move sets, it changes enemy types and placements. It also changes like gear you collect. So like all of the previous like chests and
Okay.
stuff that you open that would like you would get like upgrades for your character. Now you get a specific item that you can use to craft new armor and new upgrades, and they all do their own
So,
stuff. They added an entirely new like enchantment system, so like you can also like upgrade an armor all the way and then convert it into an enchantment with the power of that armor. So you can have
mhm.
like multiple, like let's say you have an armor set that you don't really like the specific stats, but you really like the ability to this. Well, you can upgrade it all the
Mhm.
way and convert it into an enchantment, and then put that onto one of your other armors that you do like. So like
Okay, cool, cool.
yeah, they did a lot of redesigning for the new game plus, and I thought it's really good in my opinion, and
That's
I was
awesome.
pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten too deep into Ghost of Tsushima's, but I think they kind of have something like that because I noticed. I just quickly went through the menus and things, and first off, there's a shopkeeper right there. It's kind of weird. They don't talk and they're just wearing a mask and they kind of mumble like they have their tongue cut off. And I was like, oh, that's kind of creepy. But there's a whole slew of new items that you can buy, cosmetic things, hats, masks. You can get like the your teammates' uh, armor, I guess you call it, and things like that. And they also have different charms that you can buy. I immediately bought the charm that it just said more blood, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm getting that. So I did that, and then I noticed when I was going through that I had fully 100% of the game, upgraded everything, but I noticed my sword wasn't upgraded all the way. So I'm wondering if there's something like that where they added some different things to the world where I have to upgrade my armor even more and things like that. Um, I'm not sure. They might have changed the enemies around too. I'm not sure about that. I just know that they're stronger. And the cool thing about of Tsushima is that when they're stronger, that also makes you stronger. It kind of makes it more realistic since it's all about sword fighting. So, like, say in easy mode, if it takes 5 hits to kill you, um, the more you go up. So, like, say, I guess normal mode's a better way. In normal mode, it takes 5 hits to kill an enemy, but it takes 5 hits for them to kill you. On hard, maybe it takes them 2 hits to kill you, but it only takes 2 hits to kill the enemy, if that makes sense.
I like
So,
that.
like,
I like
the
that a lot.
swords get stronger.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like
they're not
suit.
just sponges.
There's a suitability in Spider-Man that you get near the end where it's you can kill anyone in one hit, but you're gonna go down in one hit as well.
Yeah, kind of like
Yeah,
that. So I thought that was
I,
cool. That's why I was so
that's my
confident.
problem with a lot of shooters when you go on harder difficulty because they just become bullet
Yeah,
sponges.
Yeah.
it
I like
becomes an unplay
that where
tested nightmare.
yeah,
Yeah, they're like, just crank everything up to 11, but not the
Destiny.
player. It's like, oh, that's not fun at all. But
Yeah.
okay. Is there anything else you guys want to add to the story, or?
No, I don't have much else to add other than Breath of the Wild had the new game plus.
DLC that you had to buy. That's the funniest thing is that they did that, and Sony was like, "We're just going to do it free for all of our games. Like literally all of their games, they get that up like 2 months later update that has New Game plus some fixes, and it's awesome. I love it because you get to just go back and play through the game again." All right, story number 2. Speaking of Nintendo, which we've done a lot, the Switch is the best-selling console in the U.S. for 22 consecutive months. This story comes from Nintendo Life, written by Liam Doolin. Quote, if you weren't already convinced that the Switch success is set to continue, in addition to this, it's now been highlighted that the hybrid system has been the best-selling console hardware in this location for 22 consecutive months straight. That dates all the way back to December 2018, around the time that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was released. It seems that Sorry. It seems this is actually a new record as well. The previous record holder was Microsoft's console, the Xbox 360, which was the best-selling console for 21 months, August 2011 to April of 2013. And NPD's industry. Hold on.
Industry.
NPD's industry analysis, Matt Piscatelli, who has me blocked on Twitter, by the way, have no idea why, but he does, notes how the Switch is, quote, selling at or above levels never seen before in the US, end quote. To date, the Switch has sold more than 62 million units worldwide, and back in August, it surpassed lifetime sales of the NES, end quote. It is worth noting that these sales are for the US only. Sony's PS4 is still a competitor for the top charts in the world market. It's also worth noting that both Xbox and PlayStation have slowed their production down over the last 6 to 10 months for their current gen consoles in anticipation for the PS5 and Xbox Series X. I barely made it through that one, guys. But what do you think about this? Switch is the best-selling console in the United States, not the world, for 22 months straight.
Honestly, we already talked a lot about Switch. So, like,
Yeah, I know. I don't really want to talk about it.
we kind of covered it, actually.
I will just say, like, it. I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of kids that want it. There's all stuck at home. It makes sense.
I agree. I mean, this has been happening for longer than the pandemic, but I do think it's that
extended and got it to the point it's at now.
definitely, yeah. And I do think it's a combination of current gen is dying for the PS4 and Xbox One. I mean, whenever it goes on sale, it sells out. But I'm sure working in retail, you haven't been getting a lot of them.
Oh no,
Um,
we do have
but
our boxes again finally after not having them for like 6 months.
oh, good, oh, good. But yeah, that, and then I think it is just like, what is the thing to buy kids? Kids like video games. What video game console are you going to buy? Honestly, back in 2010, I do think it was the 360. Like, people were like, the Xbox became the thing, like the game console for a hot minute there, that it wasn't Nintendo anymore. It was Xbox. So it makes sense that 360 was the best selling one because, like, what do I get you for Christmas? Oh, I'll get you the Xbox. That's the new thing. You want the Xbox? I'll get you the Xbox. I don't know what that is. But
I
now
think
it's
that the success of the 360 is the only reason why we still have Xbox consoles on the market.
oh well, of course. Well, I don't know. Also, that and Microsoft has $1 billion.
Yeah, Microsoft.
But I think it's the only, like, if the 360 would have been a failure, I think they would have probably just not even
probably, yeah.
console gaming after that.
That thing about
Xbox was so successful.
What was that?
I said it was a miracle the first Xbox was so successful. If it wasn't for
Yeah,
that,
it had Halo.
Yeah, that was why. That thing about Matt Piscatelli thing is true though. I was just on Twitter the other day, and I was like, I saw this quote tweet, so I clicked it, and I was like, "You're blocked from this person." I'm like, "What?" And I looked over, and I was like, "Yeah, like industry analysis." I'm like, "Why is he blocked me?" And he's not even the only industry analysis person to block me. I feel like I got thrown into a group chat being like, "Hey, block this guy," and then like I have so many journalists and things that have blocked me. And I don't know why, because I'll find these people and I'm like, oh, I wonder what I said to them. So like, I'll just search my name and their name and see. And it's not like I say anything bad. Like, I'm not calling them cuss words and stuff. I usually am just like calling them out on stupid takes. Like, hey, I think this was really dumb of you to say, since it's obviously not true. And like, they can't take any criticism, so they block me. Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's Twitter. It's Twitter. That's just how it works over there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was about Nintendo. Was about Stadia actually. I was like, I don't even know. They're all like, "Oh, Stadia is awful" or something. I'm like, "Hey, we should give it a try." And like, I don't think it's fair of you to say that and things like that. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm blocked. Well,
I'd block you too.
who takes criticism anymore when we can just block people? It's so much easier. All right, yeah. So I mean, I don't really have anything to say about this. Congrats to Nintendo in the US, I guess. Sony's obviously a much bigger world market, but that doesn't really matter. I don't care. I don't own stock in any of these.
US.
Cool, I guess.
US here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, you congrats Switch.
Congrats,
We'll get
Nintendo.
you a Guinness book slot there.
You guys are doing your shitty marketing things over there, but hell, you're selling consoles, so that has to come from something. All right, number 3 is a weird one. This is more for me because I'm a fan of this game series, but nevertheless, Corpse Party Blood Covered Repeated Fear is coming to Nintendo Switch. This story comes from Yeah, I know, right? This story comes from Niche Gamer, Jake. Quote, developer
Niche.
5PB has announced survival horror game Corpse Party Blood-Covered Repeated Fear will be heading to Nintendo Switch. The original Corpse Party released in 1996 with an enhanced remake in 2006 called Corpse Party Blood-Covered. Another enhanced remake called Corpse Party Blood-Covered Repeated Fear was released again across 2011 to 2016 for PlayStation Vita, iOS, and Nintendo 3DS in that order. This new version of the game features Satomi Akisaka and Mika Okamoto voicing new characters in an extra chapter. New voice acting for an extra chapter that was previously unvoiced in the Nintendo 3DS release, and, quote, the game system is also being rebuilt for the new hardware, end quote.
Ooh.
Translation, Google Translate. Niche
Oh.
Gamer is interesting. A release date was not announced at the
Niche.
time, end quote. Niche. Corpse Party started with its PC release in 1996 and has since received a handful of sequels, ports, and remakes, an anime adaptation, a manga adaptation, and even 2 live-action movies. So, have either of you ever played Corpse Party, or do you think you'll be checking this new port out? I'm a big Corpse Party.
I've never heard of it.
Since this is the first one, I might hop into there because I've always been
This
curious
is.
about it.
Yeah, this is the first one. I'm a massive Corpse Party fan. I don't know why I love the series so much, but I do. I've beaten the first
What
game
is
probably
Corpse Party?
3 times. It's this game.
Actually,
It's
Persona.
it's not like Persona at all. It's a small developer, 5PB. I think this is like all they do is Corpse Party. But it was originally released in '96 for PC. Don't play that version. Honestly, play this version or the 3DS version if you can, or the Vita version, because I'm always going to say the Vita version. But what it is it's these school kids, high school in Japan, and they're all like, one of their friends is leaving or something, and they're cleaning up after a festival in their school. And she's like, "Oh, let's play this game so we'll be friends forever." And it's like the Sachiko game or something, and they all take this paper talisman or something, whatever it's called, the little like human figure made of paper, and they all rip it apart to get a piece. And right when they do that, the floor caves in and they get transferred into a different dimension. And then you're in this school. It's an elementary school that was like said to be there long ago. And what it is it's a survival horror game, but it's kind of interesting with its story. That's where it really shines because it's 2D. It's like 2D pixel sprites. But you're like trying to survive and solve puzzles and trying to find your friends, and it has to do with like different dimensions and stuff. But then you also have these ghosts in there, these ghost children that are like killing your friends and trying to kill you. But you slowly start figuring out like what happened to them because like they were real children and like some pretty fucked up shit happened to them, and you understand why they're angry. But it's really
messed up wacky survival
it's
horror
really
games.
intriguing, and honestly, Steam has all of them except they have the first one, but it's the original 96 one, so I don't recommend that one. But there's a second game, Book of Shadows. There's a third game, Blood Covered, I think, or actually, I don't know what third game's called. And then there's like 2 spin-off games. All those are on Steam, so Steam is probably the place to get all those games. But I highly recommend it. I'm a big fan of the
You've
story.
already told me honestly.
It's really good.
Have a horror game lately.
And it's not like a horror, scary, oh my gosh, game, but it is kind of like there's parts where you're getting well, it's like in 2D, so it's like, I don't know, for me it's hard to get scared for things like that, but there are parts where you're getting chased.
Maybe not like actually scared, but you can get like tensed up and stuff.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Anxiety builds up a lot. There are things like, I know one where if you check a bookcase, because you're looking around for things and stuff, because you're trying to find things, get out of rooms and things like that. Check a bookcase and nothing's there, and then if you check it again, this face pops up for like half a second, but it doesn't really bring it to attention. It's just a thing that happens, and you can be like, "What the fuck was that?" And if you check again, it doesn't pop up. It's just little things like that kind of fucks with you and gets into your head.
Yeah.
But it's good. I highly recommend Corpse Party for everyone to play.
You just brought like a major flashback from when I was I don't know however old I was when Pokemon Diamond came out, but the Rotom house. You go there at midnight.
The old chateau.
Yes, that place freaked me out.
I know you had like the little girl and the old man in there.
Yeah, and it had like a painting that like would watch you if you turned away.
Yeah, it had like the red eyes.
That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Go play Corpse Party.
Go play Pokemon Diamond.
So,
Yeah, go play Pokemon Diamond too.
Go play
Go
Pokemon.
play all the games. There's a
Yeah,
lot of good games.
play every game that's on a handheld.
All right, going to another handheld game. Going to story number 4. Bloodlines 2. Senior narrative designer leaves the project.
Also,
This story
before you get any further, I don't appreciate how you are acknowledging this.
So I have. Bloodlines 2 senior narrative designer leaves the project. This story also comes from Niche Gamer, parentheses, which Jake loves how I pronounce, and parentheses. Quote, senior narrative designer Cara Ellison has left the project via PC Gamer. Probably should have gotten the story from there. And is no longer at Hardsuit Labs. News confirmed a month or two after both lead writer Brian Matsuda. I don't think that's how you pronounce his name. Was it Mitsoda? How do you pronounce that?
You said Matt Soda, but there's no A.
It's an I. Sorry, Brian. Brian Mitsoda. And creative director, oh my goodness, there's an apostrophe in the middle of his name. What is this? Kai Clooney were fired from the project. Rumors began to swirl after Ellison removed references to the project from her Twitter profile. Parentheses, usually the quickest way to learn about someone was fired these days, in parentheses. The reason behind Kara's departure isn't clear, but she's already working on a new job at League of Geeks as their new senior narrative designer. Bloodlines 2 is a follow-up to 2004's niche game Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Bloodlines 2 was scheduled for release in 2020, but has since been delayed into 2021.
How appropriate, niche gamer covering a niche game.
I know, right? It's crazy, both those games. Honestly, I got these 2 stories when there wasn't much news breaking, but then like so much news broke today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you care about Bloodlines 2.
Yeah.
I've never played the first one.
I've never even heard about
I'm
the
looking
first
at
one.
the list of stuff we have to go through, and I'm just like getting a wave of depression settling over me.
Oh, what about the next stories?
The next story, I'm just seeing the whole list. I'm like, oh my god, we're not. The next story actually makes me really upset though. But this
Yeah.
story,
Well,
We did the same thing with WWE.
We're closer than you think. We'll just go ahead and go to story number 5. 2K adds unskippable ads into NBA post-launch. Hope you're ready, boys. This is the big one.
Ugh.
This story comes from Eurogamer, written by Wesley Yinpool. Quote, 2K recently added unskippable adverts into a full-price basketball Sims pre-loading screens across all platforms. The video below from Steve Ivers shows an advert for Oculus Quest 2 attached to a pre-game video called My Team Season 2 Episode 7. The advert runs as the match is loading. You can see the loading progress in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. It's worth noting you cannot edit your team lineup until the advert has run its course. According to Stevivor, the experience is the same on PC, even when running on an SSD. So it's not something that cover up loads. And if you ever played a 2K game, you can always edit your lineup and things like that when it is loading, but it seems like you have to wait for the advertisement to be over now. When asked about the in-game advertisement being added in, popular 2K players didn't have kind words to say. Redditor Riddle Gaming 21 said, quote, I truly don't know what to do or say anymore. A monopoly for a single genre of video games, basketball. Honestly, I don't even think there is a way to make me want to play anymore, and that truly upsets and disappoints me, end quote. This all comes on the back of 2K Games announcing that the price of NBA 2K21 would increase from $59.99 to $69.99 for next-gen consoles.
People need to just stop playing these games. Like, they're just getting worse and worse.
Well, I usually, like, with the 2K games, I usually had a lot more respect for them than the EA sports titles. But now with this, it's like...
Yeah, Madden's a glorified card simulator now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, 2K, I could have sworn they did this last year. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Well, they did it on WWE 2K.
It was WWE, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it WWE? Okay.
They added like Amazon Prime advertisements during match replays.
Yeah, I mean, just don't play it. I mean,
yeah.
I get it. Everybody likes third-party basketball games. You know, I enjoyed my time with 2K, but I mean, yeah, this is garbage, and they're all going this route, and it's absolutely just unforgivable. Increasing the price too. Like I'd be curious to see if the game quality actually increased, because I feel like these games haven't gotten any better in like the last 5 years.
I think it's going to get a shiny coat of paint and look better, but I think it's going to be the
See the
same
sweat?
game. I think it's going to look a little better.
Yeah, the sweat.
But that's it. Yeah, the sweat. Here's the problem with it. I agree with you, Roger, that people should just stop buying the game. But it's like one of you said in the beginning, is that I thought 2K was the good one. And I always agreed. I thought 2K, especially compared to Madden, which is just, don't even get me started on that. Honestly,
Even
the
old
best one.
2K football games were great.
Damn, Madden.
Honestly, the best one is MLB, the show. Like, all cards down. That is the best game.
The shows aren't that bad.
Except for when their faces glitch out and look like a pizza.
Yeah, except when that happens.
I'll take a over Vlad any day.
This reminds me of what Activision did with, I don't know if either of you guys got this game, but with Crash Team Racing. When they announced Crash Team Racing and released it, they said, no microtransactions. We're not doing it. And then 2 months later, they added microtransactions in an update.
And not only that, they made the current unlockables.
They did a lot where they like, oh, we won't add stuff in, and then they totally just did after a couple of months.
With Crash, they even made the unlockables even harder to get, so that you'd be more inclined to buy, the in-game currency.
Yeah. So with 2K, I mean, 2K released a couple months ago now, and they're just now doing this. So like, you could be like, oh, I want to support good practice and things like that. They're not doing these scummy things, but then you get it, and then they update it, and it's like, oh, well, now I can't refund them. I can't get my money back, especially now. It's been months. Like, what, you're going to get $10 back for it or something? So it's really shitty, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's true what they said. They have a monopoly on the system, because it sucks, because I know a lot of people that like really just like playing their basketball games and like playing 2K. And it's a good game to have as like a party game or whatever. Yeah. But because they have the monopoly on this, I mean, it's just they're kind of allowed to do what they want. And
and the good news is they can just go back to 20 and have a very similar experience.
Yeah, true. You could just go back to the last one, I guess.
That was given out for free for how long?
Yeah. But it's, I mean, there's so much that we could talk about this. I'm going to save it for another time since it's so late already. Yeah. But there's so much about just companies doing this and how greed, and I really wanted to get into, like, they were making their case that games have to be risen to $70. They don't make enough money. They have to do it. But then you look at how much they make from the card sales, the microtransactions, how they're putting ads into the game, things like that. It's like, we can see through your lies that you just want more money.
Unless 2K really is actually struggling and needing to put ads in their games to make
Which I don't think they are, because I'm pretty sure 2K is the same. Aren't they the same company that's with Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, I believe they were purchased by Rockstar. So
I'm pretty sure Rockstar owns them.
It's like Gearbox, Rockstar, 2K.
Yeah, I think they're doing fine.
Yeah.
So it's just I hate it. I hate it so much. So greedy.
It does make it even more authentic to the basketball viewing experience, like you would see it on TV now that you have real advertisements in your game.
Except I skip all those, but yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and just leave it at that. We'll talk about that some other time. Jump into number 6. This actually might be the big one, depending on how you guys feel about this. I definitely have some thoughts about it.
Yeah.
But for a final story number 6, I guess we should mention AOC playing Among Us. This story comes from Forbes, written by Abram Brown. On Tuesday this week, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, the Democratic representative from the 14th District of New York, did a Twitch live stream where she played the massively popular game Among Us, while also encouraging viewers to vote for Democrats. Quote, at the broadcast's peak, some 440,000 people went to this Twitch stream set up by AOC, while another 200,000 or so followed separate broadcasts by gaming stars Pokimane. Is that how you pronounce it?
Pokimane, Jacksepticeye. I don't know, Hasanabi,
Hasanabi and Moist Critical. We'll get to why I put it like that in a second. This isn't the first time a political candidate has used Twitch as a form of campaigning. Bernie Sanders famously created a Twitch account last year, although he used his platform to stream rallies as opposed to actually playing video games.
Quote, imagine watching Bernie Sanders play video games. I'm
asking for your support and Among Us.
Quote, AOC's Twitch stream is a striking new use of the broadcasting platform that nearly 40 million people in the U.S. watch every month. Its popularity, however, has largely been restricted to those interested in games. It is certainly not the place elected officials usually go to convey an important political message. Ellipsis. AOC began playing the game around 9 p.m. on Tuesday, several rounds of Among Us, and 90 minutes later, she was still bent over the keyboard, keenly zooming her pink spacesuited character around the board. Attendance had dropped off slightly to only 366,000 people following her live stream. End quote. So, my question for you guys is twofold. First, do you think Twitch is a platform where we will see even more of these publicity stunts? And secondly, and we're going to get into this, would you call this stream a success? Noting that even though this is the third highest concurrent Twitch stream of all time, it was trending on Twitter, it was posted on almost every media's front webpage, and it was hyped up for hours with those things happening prior to the stream. And it is also worth mentioning that AOC has over 9 million followers on Twitter. So with all that in mind, and then the last thing, I guess, is that when I broke up those numbers up top, people were reporting that she was getting like 700,000 views, which wasn't true. They were combining everyone's views. So this was obviously also a thing. If you're not familiar, the video game industry, a lot of the journalists lean left, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Technically,
they would be still getting like the same content, whether they watched her or another streamer.
I know, but they're trying to be like...
So she alone was getting more views than all those other people combined. Because those are pretty popular Twitch streamers.
Oh, yeah. So what do you...
I would say it was probably a success. I mean, got people talking about her. I don't know if her exact message that she was spreading during the stream was a success, but so it definitely got fresh eyes on her.
So that's my thing, is that...
and a whole new audience.
Or a publicity stunt for her. Well, okay, that's another thing. So I guess this is twofold. The first thing is, I don't know if I would personally call this a success, because her whole reason for doing this, unless her reason was for people to talk about her, which maybe it was, in that way, yeah, it is a success. But I feel like she was doing this because the whole thing was about voting blue. That's why she did this. She was like, go out, register, vote Democrat. That's what she kept touting, which makes sense. She's a Democrat. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like I put that 9 million followers there because she kept tweeting it out all day. And those tweets got a lot of interactions. And with 440,000 people, like, let's be honest, Jacksepticeye isn't that big. He's not as big as AOC. No. Pokimane isn't as big as AOC. None of these people are as big as AOC. So she has this massive following, but only, 440,000, again, nothing to scoff at. No. That's a lot. But I feel like most of those people are people that already followed her and already listened to her and probably already were registered and were already voting for her and whoever else that she wants them to vote for. If you know what I mean? Like, I don't think this was a campaign that got out there and got other people watching. Maybe, like, there was some Jacksepticeye fans that saw it or something, but I don't know because they weren't watching her stream. They were watching their stream. So they didn't get her message.
I was a big fan of a few of the people that she was streaming with, so I kind of watched it mostly to see how their interactions would be together. And she was a pretty entertaining person to watch just on her own, sans the political stuff. But it really, the majority of the stream was just her playing and having fun with them.
Yeah, well, that's good.
That's kind of cool. I think that's pretty smart, honestly. I mean, that's kind of
like a more likable person. And sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, if you're just wanting to like branch out and reach to like, especially like the younger crowd, or not even the younger crowd, but a new audience. I don't know if like I like the whole vote blue. I mean, I guess like Andrew said, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I think that if she's wanting to get people to vote just in general, that's a really smart way to go about it. But she's obviously wanting to promote the side, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I would deter from doing that, but when you're an actual Democratic like official, I guess it makes sense to be like, hey, vote for my party.
It does make sense.
And the thing is, I don't know how.
Ultimately, it's trying to get people to vote, so it's not a bad thing by any means.
and I don't know how many politicians will follow in her footsteps. I think seeing those numbers would probably definitely make someone want to give it a shot. I know she will
Maybe.
definitely do it again. I could definitely see her doing it again in the future.
So that's another
Yeah.
thing about this whole successful thing is that that's a big number for Twitch views.
Yeah.
Like, compare that to any town hall. That's minuscule.
No,
Like
but I
small.
could see it like looking at the optics of it being, a different platform that hasn't really been
But look,
touched by that demographic. That's pretty good
but
number.
look, it's gonna spread too. I mean, that's gonna be on YouTube. That's gonna be on Twitter. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
gonna be
and
on
you got to think about
all
the
the
people
stuff.
watching the highlights too, like especially kids that
Yeah.
are going to be watching their favorite streamers. Maybe they weren't able to watch
Well,
them live,
I
but
mean,
they'll watch
I
their
mean,
pods and stuff.
do you?
on there.
I don't think kids watch that stuff. I don't think they're watching Jacksepticeye, Moist Critical, and Pokemon or all that. I don't think kids are. Like,
Well, I mean, they watch Among Us. If you go on YouTube and you look up Among Us stuff, that's all
they
all
watch
right now.
they watch their people that they watch
Yeah.
Among Us. Like, I mean, let's be honest. We're getting old. Like,
Yeah.
we're getting up there, and everyone that we
Remind-
know. I see what these kids are watching, and there's so many of these video gamer YouTuber people that I just don't know, but they're big. They're like 5-10 million. I'm like, who are these people? And they all seem like the freaking those brothers. What are they? Who are the brothers? Dead Body in the Forest.
The
The
Jake
Logan
Paul
Paul brothers?
and
Yeah,
Logan
they all look like the Paul brothers or Mr. Beast. They do a lot of that and things like that. I'm like, who are these people? I know Mr. Beast,
like
but
$1 hot dog versus $1 million hot dog kind of style people.
yeah, none of them are talking about AOC and this stream or
Yeah.
anything like that.
I can't stand that type of content.
I guess
I
maybe
hate
I'm
it.
just out of touch with the kids these days.
Dude, you're telling me. I thought I was like, I thought I knew what was going on, but I still don't know. I'm like, what is this?
I guess Roblox is back.
Oh, it's
They
bigger
like-
than ever.
They like Minecraft again.
Never stopped liking it, but yeah.
I mean, I like Minecraft.
those little squishy things. People like that. Slime still exists. I don't know.
I just I thought this was a little ironic though, because I believe I tweeted out like 3 days before this happened, like, you know who I haven't heard of in a while? AOC. She really seemed to just quiet down and go in the background and shut up, which I think is what she should do right now because, she's younger. There's an election going on. There's some bad vibes from her party. Like, not everyone agrees with her radical ideas. So I was like, it's kind of good that she's quiet. And then, of course, boom, she does this. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well.
But
Can't
I
keep
think
her
it's a big
she's
smart
definitely
girl in the
younger
movie.
blood in that party. So I could see her just kind of being like, especially close to election time, and getting excited and wanted to do something.
She just wants to help. She really just wants to be in control,
Mhm.
honestly. But that's a whole nother
That's for
discussion
the
that
other
has.
podcast.
Nope, we do not talk politics on there. That's for the dinner table.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that one. Yep, there it is. However you feel about it, that's how you feel about it. Personally, I want this election to be done and over with already. 'Cause I'm tired of
Oh my god, dang.
I'm tired of people telling me to vote. I'm sick of it. It makes me not want to vote.
Dude, it's on everything too. Why is like each Snapchat trying to like tell be like, oh, make sure you go vote. I'm like, all right,
I have-
Snapchat.
I have my conspiracies on why, but we're not even going to get into that. So let's move on to the new big releases for this week. As tradition dictates, Roger, you go first.
Oh, I guess I should pull up the thing. New big releases this week. Endless Memories coming to the PC and Switch. Explore a magical world of dreams in this epic 2D action adventure that mixes a handcrafted, non-linear world with ARPG elements. Join Rem in his journey through the dream world where the only way out is inside the mind of the dreamers. Okay, I don't know what
Alright,
that... I just read that whole thing and I have no idea what it's about. Other than dreams.
2D, it's an ARPG.
I like the name Rim.
True.
All right, Jake, you're next.
Alrighty, this next release is Valhalla Harbinger for the PC. Suck it, console players. Valhalla is a Viking universe in slasher with deep melee combat. Fight brutal battles in Midgard and get out of Loki's trap. Feel Thor's power. Meet your fate in place between life and death. It doesn't feel like real sentences. Witness the beginning of the end of the world. Ragnarok is coming.
So, fun fact about that game, you wouldn't know, but it's a battle royale.
Oh, great,
Oh my
another one.
God.
It's a Viking battle royale, and it doesn't say it anywhere in the thing. I don't get
Royale.
it.
They're just gonna get it out before Assassin's Creed.
Zelter is coming to PC. The zombie apocalypse is a tough situation to overcome, even if it takes place in a cute pixelated universe. Try to defend your home and save people from the horde of zombies in this new crafting survival game.
Once again,
Oh boy.
we saved you the long one, Roger.
Yeah, Roger.
Yeah.
This one technically came out last week, but it was on Friday and we didn't talk about it, so I'm tossing it in here. I'm calling it an audible.
Okay. Mario Kart Live home circuit for the Switch. Race a real-world Mario Kart trademark through your home. Use the Nintendo Switch trademark system to control your kart and watch as it reacts to what's happening in the game as you boost and drift to victory. Your in-home course comes to life on screen with a view from right behind the driver's seat. Play skates and customize courses in the real world and see them come alive with different in-game environments like jungles and snow skates and obstacles like piranha plants. Use objects from around the house to customize your course and add challenge. Then watch the game transform your home into the Mario Kart trademark world.
I just want to say quickly, first, we didn't mention Mario Kart live home circuit, so I'm so sorry to all those fans about big Nintendo releases this year. And second, if you wanted to play the true way to play this, which is 2-player, that would cost you $200. I just want to note that right now you can go on Amazon and pre-order Cyberpunk 2077 for $49.99. That's all I want to say. All right, moving on. Take your next.
I mean, I did want to say
What is this though?
it's Mario Kart, but like you control it with an RC car, and it's got a with the Switch, and it has a camera on the back, which through the Switch system, you'll see like normal Mario Kart game, but the course is in your actual home, and you set it up with like in. You drive the cart to make the shape of the course and going through these little gates they have to mark each checkpoint.
It sounds cool.
It's
but
definitely neat, but you need a lot of floor space. It only works inside, and you need a lot of.
It does sound neat. It does sound neat, but like you could just buy an RC car.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
They have the Mario Kart RC cars that look exactly like these two
for
like
$30.
Yeah,
it's so stupid and a waste of money.
It's gonna be like Labo. It's a neat thing that they're doing, but I think it's gonna probably go. You'll see it in the clearance bins, and then it'll be gone within the next year or so.
Nintendo trying to do a Nintendo gimmick because they need something.
Everyone's stuck at home. That's that's something.
Yeah, something.
Remember their cardboard gimmick they tried to do?
Yeah, Labo.
Dude, cardboard. All right, Jake, you're next.
All right, it looks like we have an expansion for Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part 1 on Xbox, PC, and PS4. Still waiting on that Switch. Your victory over the hordes of hell spared Earth from a perilous demon-infested fate, but saving humanity has upset the delicate balance of power in the heavens. Become the Doomslayer once again and set things right in Doom Eternal's first single-player expansion, The Ancient Gods Part 1.
Did any of you guys ever play Doom Eternal?
No,
I really want to though.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first one, but like with the first one, I didn't get that until it was like $10.
Yeah, I feel like Doom.
I got it a lot later.
I don't know. I heard good things about it, but actually, I've heard that it's not as good as the first one, which is interesting. But
I
think they tried a lot of extra stuff, so it's not as like streamlined as the first one is. But I think the only complaints I've really heard is the Slayer demons that pop up every now and then. I've heard they get like a very Warden vibe from Halo 5.
Yeah, I don't know. It's on Game Pass now though, so I literally have no excuse. But I don't know.
We'll be over for the next 2 weeks. I might.
There you go.
All right, and finally coming out is Amnesia Rebirth for PC and PS4. You can't let out a breath. The creature is only inches away. Its sole purpose, to feed off your terror. And so you crouch in the dark, trying to stop the fear rising, trying to silence what lies within you. Quote, I know you. I know what you're capable of, end quote. In Amnesia Rebirth, you are Tassi Trianon. Waking up deep in the desert of Algeria. Days have passed. Where have you been? What did you do? Where are the others? Retrace your journey. Pull together the fragments of your shattered past. It is your only chance to survive. the pitiless horror that threatens to devour you.
Pitiless.
You guys played No Amnesias?
Yeah,
I played the first one. I never beat it, but I did dabble in it a bit in high school.
Yeah,
I feel like
I played the first one too. Yeah, I think around high school. It was really good. It's a little dated now because some of the
I
other
was about to
games have
say,
like.
I think the sequel is 5 years too late.
Yeah.
But
Oh, we
they're
got
trying.
Machine for Pigs.
It's weird
But
that it's like a desert setting. I don't know how to feel about that.
it's
Yeah, me neither.
very quickly. I watched a little bit of it, but you're in a desert for a little bit, but then you quickly go into a cave, and then it kind of becomes more the familiar feel of the first Amnesia. So the desert setting isn't really the main locale for it.
Yeah, that's weird.
It sounds
Yeah,
interesting.
I really like the first one, but
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know.
I would say, watch someone play it. PewDiePie did a good 1 hour long video of it the other day. It seems like a good game. The character models are a little something to be desired, but you don't really ever see other people during the main game. So I think that's where the focus of it was kind of let to the wayside.
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
The monster
That's
looks good.
I'm not.
That's good,
That's
I
good, I
guess.
guess.
I probably won't check it out, but is there anything that stands out for you guys in this list? Honestly, I'm maybe
last
Doom
two.
Eternal, but
Yeah, I mean, I still want to pick it up, and that gives me even more reason to go grab it.
hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Actually, the Viking Battle Royale sounds interesting.
Yeah, I might peek my head in there, see what's
Maybe
going
if
on in
it's
that world.
free one day, I'll check it out. I don't know. It sounds stupid enough to be like, oh, this sounds like a fun time.
Maybe something
You
to
have to like.
dethrone
Is it free
Fortnite.
to play or do you have to spend money for it?
What?
Is it free to play or do you have to buy it?
Oh no, you gotta buy it. You gotta buy all these.
Oh.
I don't put
No.
I don't put free to play games unless it's big enough.
Oh.
Yeah.
We
So
don't mess with that.
we don't mess with that. We do have 2 ending questions for you guys, though, if you do so mind. These were 2 news stories that I decided not to put up, but I did want to ask about your guys' take and opinion on it because I'm intrigued about them. And actually, the first one I made a video over, so that's kind of interesting. The first question I have for you is that do you think any console will ever sell over 200 million? I ask you this because a recent analyst from Japan predicted that the PS5 would sell over 200 million units in its lifetime. And I was inclined to agree about it. You can check out that video on youtube.com/I1Andrew, where I say why I think it does. But I want to hear from you guys right now. Do you
What's
think
the highest console sold?
the highest console ever sold is the PlayStation 2, around 150 million units? I can tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to know all the numbers right now? Like,
Yeah, what's the PS4 sitting at right now?
let me
'Cause
get
I
you a
remember
chart.
hearing that was on track to surpass the PS2 potentially.
As more mainstream as gaming becomes, and as more just people we get in the world, and it'll happen.
That was my argument. So here's the top.
I definitely buy more than one console of the same console that generation.
I'll give you the top 6 home consoles of all time, and then to answer that question, yes, the PS4 is still on track to be just as high as the PS2.
Okay.
But there's a lot of things going with that. So the highest selling home console of all time, and actually highest selling console of all time, is the PlayStation 2 at 155 million units. The second highest selling home console of all time is the PlayStation 4 at 112 million units.
Oh, wow.
The third highest selling console is the PlayStation original at 102.5 million units. The fourth highest selling console is the Wii at 101 million units. The fifth highest selling console, you ready for this?
Uh-huh.
The PlayStation 3 at 87.4 million units. So that means 4 out of the top 5 are all Sony consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And then at number 6, just for good measure, is the Xbox 360 at 84 million units.
Ooh, just barely.
The top 5 is all foreign studios too. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then if we wanted to,
games.
number 2 and number 3 are the Nintendo DS and then the Game Boy/Game Boy Color. DS has 154 respectively, and the Game Boy and Game Boy Color have 118 million respectively.
Yeah, the DS was so close.
Doesn't surprise me. Remember when all the schools bought it?
The what? When the what?
Remember when all the schools bought the PlayStation 1 for like?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the PS1 was just runaway success. Like
Do you
every
wanna
single one is just
also
outdid the other one.
want to point out for
I don't-
Jake that the PSP has 80 to 82 million, while the 3DS has 75. But I'm just pointing that out. Anyways, go ahead and continue.
I had a friend that was CE 007 and we'd play together during that time.
The
in
3DS
school.
shot itself in the foot with the price tag at launch, so I think it lost a big consumer base right there.
Yeah. So Roger, what you were saying is exactly what my argument was. So you look at the top five, and then the top number one is the PS2, which was released 20 years ago.
Mhm.
But number two is the PS4, which was released 7 years ago. And then there's an argument to be made that the PS3 and 360, there is the market crash and the recession, and the world economy was being destroyed during the time, and it came out at a weird time, and a lot of things were going wrong for it. But the PS4 selling high. And then just to also do the other side of the coin, the Nintendo Switch is on pace with the PS4 right now. So it's not like people
Really?
are going from one thing to another, because I know a lot of people will be like, well, that's just Xbox One people going over to PS4. It's like, maybe, but not really. The Xbox One is at 50 million units, so it probably is going to taper out around 60, maybe, which is 20 million less than the 360. But the PS4 has already gotten over, I don't know, 30 million units from the PS3. So it's not take some from one and add to the other.
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think that the PS5 has the potential to break 200 million?
Sorry, I unplugged my headset there by accident. I did want to say, I think I lost my train of thought too.
Woo woo.
But I think
I can see the PS5.
the addition of the Pro models and more limited edition consoles this generation than ever has also helped maybe add a few numbers to the PS4's life. But I think if any console could hit that 200 million mark, it would be the PlayStation 5.
You think that would be the first one to do it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, people are being bullish about it. We talked about the report of 10 million by the end of the fiscal year, which is April, which is crazy. But what Roger was saying earlier, and I totally agree with, is that you expect gaming markets, or markets in general, to build up. You expect people to get more into it, more people into it, more money, more consoles, things like that. You want growth. And if you look at the charts, most of the consoles at the top are modern consoles. You do have the Game Boy in there, and you do have the original PlayStation, and the NES is like number 11 or something at 61 million units. But then when you start going down, you start seeing that, well, of course, all the older consoles are at the bottom. And we got to remember, these things, like the Dreamcast sold 9 million. The Saturn sold 9 million. The Master System sold 10 million. The GameCube sold 21 million. Wii U. The original Xbox sold 24 million. So these older consoles, they weren't like selling 80 million. Like that's something that's fairly recent with the newer gen.
Right.
And then now breaking 100 million. If the Xbox One was good at launch, I think it would be up there with the PS4 at around 100 million. I honestly do. And again, we don't even know what the Xbox One sales are. They don't release them. It's all estimate, but it's pretty well known that it's around 50 million.
And I think also like the runaway success that the PS2 and like Master System and Genesis had in Brazil also helped raise those numbers just because of how affordable they were at the end of their life.
Yeah, but even then, like the Genesis tapered out at 35 million. Like even it being a quote master success, 35 million, that's considered a massive failure now. If a console sold less than 50 million, like Xbox One, people consider it a failure. Like that failed. That is a bad console. It did not meet expectation. So I think what the PS4 and Switch are doing now are kind of the new norm of, oh yeah, you better sell at least 120 million units. And then for growth in industry, I don't think it's crazy to say that 200 million is the next one up.
I mean, as long as you're outselling the Wii U, I think you're looking at success there.
Yeah.
I don't know for certain if it'll be the PS5, but it'll definitely happen.
Yeah, I think if anyone's in the market to do it that well, it's going to be one of the PlayStations.
I agree.
Right now, for sure.
I think Xbox is looking at the market of everybody. They're going to PC hard. They're going to streaming hard. They don't care where you play. They just want you to play their game. So
Yeah.
they're not looking to sell consoles. And then we already kind of talked about the Nintendo problem. I think as long as they don't have that console that can play true third-party games, I don't think there's a snowball chance in hell that it breaks even 120 million units. Even 100 million, I'm kind of bullish to say. I still think the Switch is going to taper out. I don't think the Switch will break 100 million. I don't. I think we're seeing that lapsed Nintendo fans finally coming back after the Wii U, and that's why it's so high selling. But I think that we're going to start seeing a wall be hit with Switch sales.
Do you think the Switch will end up outselling the Wii?
I don't know. It's on pace for sure. It's already at 60 million, which is crazy. But if Nintendo sticks to their 5-year cycle, that means 40 million in the next 2 years, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, and it depends on like how long they support it. Like if they treat it like a handheld console and have it in the market longer than their home consoles usually are in it.
Mm-hmm. But we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, and then the last question for the day. It's late. I know you're tired. Thank you for sticking with me.
The last question
is how important are console accessories to you? I ask you this because there's a news story about Sony has decided to release their accessories early for the PS5, which is kind of weird. They're releasing in October, actually, at the end of October.
Weird.
So, that's a thing that's happening. But I wanted to know, that just brought up my mind, like, I wonder how many people actually get the accessories. Like, do you get on launch day, are you getting an extra controller? Do you go for the charging station? Do you get the headset, the camera, everything like that? Like, I just want to know, are you guys into accessories for consoles?
It kind of depends on the console. Generally, like most basic accessories, I like to get like the media remotes because I usually use them for like watching movies. If I go to watch movies, that's usually what I use to watch them. I like to have the charging stands because I don't deal with batteries or cords. But I think as far as like when I think of accessories, I usually think of Nintendo just because of how many things they put out for it, and I usually get them just because there are certain games that need them or take advantage of them. Whereas just basic accessories like extra controller or something, I'll probably wait until there's like a really good multiplayer game to get it, because I do have 4 controllers for my PS4, but I hardly ever do on console multiplayer on it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. So, what about you, Roger? Are you an accessory person? Or?
I'm a little bit like Jacob. I consider to have at least 2 controllers, and I have my headset and a charging station, kind of like essential. You know what I mean? Other than that, I kind of have a weakness for accessories, but like I get those essential ones, and then basically if I see one on sale, or if I got, I don't know, a little extra in the paycheck and I see something that catches my eye. I like to get accessories. One of my favorite things I got was an Xbox TV remote that I use
Yeah.
to watch stuff. I don't need it, but I love it so much. So like, I really like accessories, but for me, I can get by with a couple of things. But I do think like having a headset, at least 2 controllers, and a charging station for me is essential. Like, I gotta have those, or I don't feel like I am complete.
Honestly, I think the only time I ever used all 4 controllers on the PS4 at one time was when we played Gang Beasts last year.
Yeah, which I had my controllers right there, so it was like, even really.
I had a weakness for the 3DS. I had a lot of stupid accessories for my 3DS.
Yeah, that's easy to do with Nintendo. Like, it's a slippery slope with Nintendo.
Yeah,
so ever since then I've held myself back.
I personally have never been really into accessories. Even with like the Vita, which you would think, oh, of course he has all the accessories for that. I don't. They made this thing where they made this kind of like Frankenstein's monster type creation where it gave you a L2 and R2 button, but it kind of like tapped the back touchpad, which is super handy actually for doing remote play. It's like $20 too, but I didn't even get that. But for some reason with the PS5, I'm just like, I'm kind of like all in. Like, I want the headset, I want the camera, I want everything. I want the media remote, because I've never had the media remote, but I'm like, I watch Netflix and Hulu and things a lot on there, and it would probably be a lot more convenient just to do that.
The media remote is nice. I love it. And it's cool because you don't have to turn it on, pick it up, and it activates. Like, I haven't had to switch the batteries for like at all in the last year and a half. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy how long.
That
I will
sounds
say,
nice.
like, if the PS5's triggers are as sensitive as the PS4's, I'll definitely want that media remote, because every time I even barely move the controller, it starts fast forwarding or doing something, and I hate it.
Yeah, that's definitely always a
But
problem with me too.
I think with the PS5, I'll definitely be getting the charging stand, which is really cool. It's made by them this time instead of like PDP or another third party company. I don't know about the camera. I mean, I'm assuming VR is going to need it, but I probably won't get it.
Maybe. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
I mean, with Oculus Quest and now Quest 2, I think if PSVR 2 comes out and it needs a camera, that's not going to be good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if the thing is, if there's anything that really has a real practical use for it, I might get it. But right now, I'm probably not going to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Another controller, probably not going to get until there's, like I said, a really good multiplayer on console game that I'll want to play. And since you'll be here, we can usually do online between the two consoles.
You know what? I just bought all the accessories for the Quest 2. Maybe I do like accessories. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong about this.
Maybe when you
When
get
I
excited about
initially
something,
read
you
that,
just
I was
like
like, I don't know if I like accessories, but then I started thinking about it. I'm like, no, I really like accessories.
I think-
like I got a lot of use.
I mean, I have two PS4 headsets, so
I mean, back in the day, like I like it was right when they stopped making the chat pad, or like the black chat pad for the Xbox. I like searched that down at a game. Finally found a used one at a GameStop, and it was so nice for doing like text chats and stuff like that on the 360.
you know what? I think I was always
Dude,
just too
you know
poor
what?
to get the accessories. I always wanted them, but I couldn't afford them.
Yeah. Mom would never buy
You
them.
know what console I went like wild on with accessories was the Wii. I had
Oh,
like
yeah.
every one of them. I had almost every
Oh,
accessory.
yeah,
you
you're
can
right.
imagine.
Colored remotes.
Grips, plus, I had all the Wii Sports attachments and everything.
Mhm.
Like,
Me too.
I went wild with the Wii.
Which is so stupid when you think about it, but it's like, I don't know.
It's like
cool.
those attachments don't even like do anything functionality wise in the
No.
game. It just adds
I
a
had
little
the
bit
little
of chance.
shooter thing for Link's crossbow training.
Oh, the zapper.
Uh-huh.
The zapper was actually kind of
Yes.
useful, especially like
I
when they
loved
released
it.
Duck Hunt on the Wii U. That zapper was like way out of like production, but I still had one. And I was like, oh, this is perfect for playing this.
Yeah.
I had the Wii Fit. I had all of it.
Oh yeah, we fit. Good times with that, not using it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I think that'll do it for our show. Jacob, I want to thank you for, I don't know, Jacob, Roger called you Jacob. So, Jake, I want to thank you for joining us. Roger, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, thank you to the audience for joining us. You can find this podcast on podcast services around the globe, which are actually just Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, and some other ones. I'm not sure what they're on, but there's definitely other ones that were uploaded on. And of course, it's always going to be uploaded to youtube.com/thatoneandrew. I know we had some problems with the uploading of the podcast a couple of weeks ago. They seemed all be ameliorated, so I think everything should be good now. I'm always double, triple checking to make sure it's uploaded everywhere. Seems to be good. So thank you for that. If you have any questions or comments about the show, go ahead to the YouTube video and put your comments in the comment section below. We will do our best to get this out Friday. We're busy people, busy weekends. We'll do our best. Maybe it'll come out on Saturday. Who knows? Jake, do you have any closing comments for the people?
It's Bapa Booey.
Papa Booey. Roger, you got any closing comments?
Go blue.
Watch the
All
AOT
right.
stream on our channel coming out this week.
With that in mind, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next episode. Have a lovely week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Oh, Roger didn't say anything. I always like his really quiet, like awkward bye at the very end.
I said it, but you talked over it.
Oh no, it was.
Go ahead. You do it. Go ahead.
Bye.